This episode of Talking Marketing is brought to you by the fine folks at Marketing HQ. Marketing HQ empowers marketers to launch, grow, and excel in their careers. As a premier resource for marketing career advancement, they're home to one of the largest and most active marketing communities. They offer cutting-edge industry insights, proprietary tools, and expert services designed to fuel your professional success. Whether you're sharpening your skills, exploring new opportunities, or taking your career to the next level, Marketing HQ is your trusted partner every step of the way. Thanks again to Marketing HQ for sponsoring this episode of Talking Marketing. Hello, everybody. Happy holidays. It's Alan, your usual host of Talking Marketing. I am here unscripted to introduce the episode and tell you what you're about to listen to. This episode of Talking Marketing is our interview with Briana Azier, the founder of Brie Sweet Treats, a Worcester-based confectionery company. And they're doing wonderful things with entrepreneurship, community building, and much, much more that you're going to hear in this conversation. However, I, myself, am not the host of this episode of Talking Marketing. Rather, my colleague and wonderful volunteer, Romanshika Singh, who has been working with our team with recruitment, with volunteers, and with so much more on the podcast and beyond. Romanshika has been a great asset for AMA Boston in the past year, and we hope to continue helping her grow her career and her talents with us and beyond. So I think it's a really fun interview. I think Romanshika absolutely crushed it. I was present for this interview and I stayed quiet because I wanted to give her the spotlight, to have her own questions, to have her own podcast to call her little pet project. And she did it. And it's really great. And I think you're going to love it. And this is the last episode of Talking Marketing for 2024. I really hope people have enjoyed what we've brought to the table this year. I hope that we continue to empower and educate young marketers, especially in the New England and Boston area specifically. And I want people to share the podcast and get it out there, whether it's on your LinkedIn, on your other social media, on your walk to work, at the gym, at your yoga class, at your dog walking club. I want you to share Talking Marketing with people who you think it would matter a lot to. And that's all I got. I hope you all have a wonderful, warm, cozy, and safe holiday. And we will be back next year with more Talking Marketing and more awesome conversations. So now, please enjoy Romanshika's conversation with Briana Azier.
Hello and welcome to Talking Marketing, an AMA Boston podcast where we chat with marketing professionals across various industries and try to get to the core of what makes their work impactful. I'm Romanshika Singh, your host and director of podcasts and VP of volunteers for the American Marketing Association's Boston chapter. Today, I'm very excited to welcome this episode's guest. She is the CEO and owner of Brie Sweet Treats, Worcester Chamber Entrepreneur of the Year 2023, and Best Candy Shop 2024. Please welcome Briana Azier to Talking Marketing. Briana, it's so good to have you.
Thank you. It's sweet to be here.
We will talk about a lot. We'll talk about your organization, you as a person, what you do, the community that you do it in. We're going to talk a lot about all of those things. But I would want you to start with the beginning. So can you just take us back to the beginning of where all of this started and what inspired you to start Brie Sweet Treats during such a challenging time, pandemic, and how did it grow into what it is today? So I would love to hear all about it.
Well, thank you. So, Brie Sweet Treats is a business born and raised out of the ashes of the pandemic. People often find it very interesting to know I have zero culinary experience. But I have 15 years of corporate recruiting experience, and I was working from home, and the pandemic came, and things were challenging and people were sad, and I didn't like that. I've always come from a place of community service and making things better. So my son, who was 6 at the time, him and I just looked at each other and we're like, yeah, we're gonna change this. So we jumped online. No experience at all. So we jumped onto like Facebook and Pinterest and YouTube, and we started learning how to make some basic treats, some chocolate confections and candy. And we passed them out to friends and family and neighbors, and we gave it to them for free. And we did get the reaction that we were looking for, which was people were happy. That was great. But we got a very unexpected reaction as well, which is people started asking how they could get more. Um, so a lot of things were happening at the time, and we decided to get our kitchen permitted and started doing pop-ups on the weekends. And one day I looked up and there was like a line like at least a quarter mile long, and it was the middle of the summer, and people were coming to get my peanut butter cups, and they had coolers. They're buying 10, 20, 30 at a time because they didn't know when they were going to see me again. And I realized I really had something more, and made the decision to move from the corporate world into my own business and really give it a go.
Yeah, I think that is the push. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs who have always wanted to do things they need kind of. So I think your story does act like a good anchor to that. So from our previous conversations that we have, Bree, you have mentioned that faith, family, community, and friends are the four hearts of Bree Sweet Treats. So I want to know, how do these values shape everything you do, and how do they impact the business that you have and the business decisions that you make?
Thank you. So I don't know if you guys can see my shirt and my logo, but there are very intentionally four hearts in my logo, and that is about the cornerstones of our business, which is faith, family, community, and friends. And actually, most people don't realize that faith plays a very integral role in Bree Sweet Treats. This part of the reason this was able to start, because also during the pandemic, my twin sister and I were doing a women's Bible study, a women's ministry, and we did a deep dive of the Proverbs 31 woman, and it was 15 scriptures. So we did a 1 week per scripture. And one of the concepts that kept coming up over and over again to kind of bring it back to modern times was providing for your family with the skills that you had. Because the pandemic has shut down the world, shut down everything. You couldn't go out and get education. You couldn't go out and do something. Even churches were closed. So I kind of had to practice what I preached, right? I had this skill that I was just doing on the side just to make people happy. And God was like speaking to me. It wasn't just for these women, it was for me too. So practice what you preach. Bree Sweet Treats was born. And the scripture that covers my business is taste and see that the Lord is good. So faith is just a big part of who I am. It's actually the biggest reason why I picked the color purple. As my sister said the other day, it's loyalty, royalty, and Jesus. Professionalism, women empowerment, it literally is just the color of all the things that I stand for. So for me, literally Bree Sweet Treats is a business that is here because I need to make $1 million so I can give $1 million. We are a for-profit business with a non-profit mindset, and literally everything I do goes into that. How can I help more people? How can I make a difference? Who can we donate to? Who can we partner with? And how do we make a long-lasting impact? And because we have really focused the business in that way, I have found that the community has surrounded me and lifted me up as well. Actually, it's not known yet because it hasn't been announced, but I'm actually receiving a really excellent community service award from the Center of Women in Enterprise of Central Mass, I think next week. and it really shocked me, but it humbled me.
So we are doing this at the right time. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations. I just had a follow-up question on that. And is there any specific cause that you feel close to, that is very close to your heart, whether it be education, women empowerment?
Oh, yeah.
Is there any cause that feels a little bit more closer to your heart?
Oh, for sure. So we really focus on women empowerment, especially minority women empowerment, youth entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship in general. Food insecurity. We donate every single week to the Worcester community fridges. We give a scholarship. We gave our first scholarship this year for a youth entrepreneur to a Leicester high school senior, and we will continue that moving forward to make sure that young entrepreneurs know that they can start now. And that's really special to my heart. Actually, I have an amazing program called the Free Sweet Treats Little Entrepreneurs Program. And I have my 3 young entrepreneurs upstairs right now, packaging, labeling, learning about food, food safety, business. And they're loving every minute of it. And I'm loving every minute of it. I feel like I'm raising the next
Like
generation.
of entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually incredible. I feel like this kind of, how would I say, it sheds lights on, you're not just donating money, but you're actually like helping some, like the next generation do that, guide them according to that path. Like when you said that you actually sponsor somebody, like you provide them with scholarship, I think it's like actually building, like holding their hand and building their future. I am a scholarship kid. I know what it means and what it does to like the students who receive scholarships. So thank you,
Hmm.
like you, who are very generous and who believe in us. So thank you for changing that for, the next generation.
Well, thank you. And for me too, it's really about giving back because I myself, I think I said that, I'm not sure if I did, but I was one of the last recipients of the Clark University Making a Difference Community Service Scholarship. So scholarships have changed my life, and community service is just part of who I am. So when I started my business, it was just a no-brainer that I was going to make an impact and I was going to do things with my business and spend my money and put my energy and efforts to things that were in line with what I believe in, and changing, making a positive change.
Exactly. I know, Brie, this journey, I know we have been talking about all the good things, all the amazing things that you're doing, how the business came into life, and like all the amazing community work with your business that you've been doing. But I want to dive more into the hard times because the good
Mm.
the good times don't exist without the hard times. So can you walk us a little bit like what has been like the toughest parts of becoming an entrepreneur and owning your own business? I'm sure it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all, but I would love to hear. I think you learn a lot from your challenging times, and I think those are the times that make you so much stronger. So I would want to know some of the toughest times that you've been through while running this business and becoming who you are today.
Sure. I think my toughest time started when I was even considering whether or not to move forward with this as a business. I think one of the hardest thing any entrepreneur does is make the shift from full-time corporate to full-time entrepreneur. Holy moly, is that scary? Um, but for me, it was a little easier to make that decision. Matter of fact, I felt literally like God was talking to me the whole way because unfortunately, during the pandemic, my 40-year-old brother passed away of COVID. And he was in Maryland. And we couldn't get there. We couldn't even bury him or anything like that. It wasn't allowed. But I called into my job. I emailed in to tell them that my brother just passed away from COVID. And the response I got was, "Are you coming into work or not?" Um, and that for me was just an instant light bulb. It was really the catalyst that I needed to know that literally life or death, the corporate world did not care about me. So what was I hanging on for? And it was time to go on out and do this on my own. And then when I did do it on my own, to make sure that I would never treat people like that, because people do matter. They are the backbone of your business. And so I really go above and beyond for my employees. Um, and it was a hard moment, but it was really easy to make that decision, looking back on how they treated me. Um, and then when I got into business, one of the hardest things has been having to consistently open up new avenues of business. Because most people would be very surprised to hear that I have a retail store. The Worcester public market is not as visited as we would like, and it's crazy that people don't know about it. And we've been there since 2019. It's a mini version of the Boston Faneuil Hall, but for one reason or another, it's just not as frequented as we would like. So for me, one of the hardest things is that my retail store is not a huge profiter. It is so I'm able to say I have this retail store. Here is my foundation, but the majority of my money is made at my festivals and fairs, through my wholesale license in corporate gifting, and a lot of the other avenues that I'm focusing on in my business. Because if I were to just have left it to just this retail store, we wouldn't be surviving.
That is, you brought up some really, really good points. I think diversification is a very important thing for not just like any business, right? And you did mention that you have a store that doesn't really do well. So now you're finding more ways to, promote your product, whether it's in gifting, whether it's online, whether it's fairs, pop-ups, right? Do you think you'll ever consider opening your own store, like, yeah, actually, like, just Breeze Sweets, because right now you're in the Worcester market? Do you think that, have you ever considered that? And like, I'm sure there are pros and cons, but I'm just wondering if that is something.
Yeah. So when we do make our next move, it will be a purchase, and our goal is to purchase a facility where we can make, but also where we will be selling retail as well. I will never have a standalone store, or not never, but once I do all these other things and that's up and running, maybe potentially a standalone store, but the next store will be attached to the manufacturing. So no matter what, let's say the store wasn't super successful in the actual, physical location, it doesn't matter, because all of the manufacturing, everything is happening in the background. And I'm not saying I'm not successful. We're the number one chocolate candy store in Worcester County for 2 years in a row, the number one chocolate candy store in Worcester for 4 years in a row. So I make my way around. But surprisingly, not as much at the retail store. So it's a blessing. It's an opportunity for growth, but also the apartments are literally hundreds or thousands, if not thousands, of people will be living across the street very soon. Those apartments are actually being built. So we're hanging on. That is definitely going to turn around. I will never leave my store in the Worcester public market. It's my baby. We will just continue to grow. My goal, like the big vision, is to have that manufacturing plant, right, that also has the storefront. But it's got to be about the community. We're going to have Santa and the Easter Bunny, and we're going to have community events where the community comes together. And it's not just about candy and chocolate. It's going to be about memories and nostalgia. And bringing the community together, because that's who I am. That's all I know how to be. So if I'm in control, it's my place, then you better believe we're going to make sure the community can come together.
And I don't doubt it at all. Honestly, make me want to move to Worcester now. I would want to live in that community. Um, some of the things you mentioned, I love everything that you're thinking for your business, and you're already doing so amazing. And I have no doubt, like, you're going far. You're already so far, so I have no doubt in that. I know you mentioned, I did ask you, like, what was the toughest times, and I'm sorry about your brother. And you mentioned like how corporate works, and no matter how much you work, you will never be their own. Like, you will always be a paycheck, right?
And replaceable.
And replaceable, exactly. Like, so it doesn't really matter, no matter if you spent 30 years, 40 years, your entire life working for them, you will never be worth anything. So my question is, what would you say to people who are kind of struggling between this, oh, do I quit, do I start my own thing, who are in this, in this middle ground, trying to find their place, or trying to take that next leap? What do you think? What advice do you have? Because I think you would be the perfect person to say that, because you have done that. What advice do you have?
Okay, so you do it, but you must have the information behind it. So I did not just quit my corporate job. I had spoken with my husband. We had goals. We had already seen some level of success with Breeze Sweet Treats. And the conversations were, what do we need to sustain this? Is it sustainable? Not just this quarter, but next quarter and next quarter and next quarter and next quarter. Can we, at that time it was, how many pop-ups did I need to do? in order to make X amount of money. So we actually had to work backwards, right? It was, this is how much money I was bringing in, right? And this is how much money I need to continue to bring in to keep our household afloat. And then we worked backwards, per month, per year, per week. Can I make this? Yeah. And once we were very confident that we could, and we had goaled ourselves, then we started making the, talking about leaving. So April, my brother died. October, I left. And it was something was already kind of on my mind, but nothing that I decided I'm going to put my everything into and make sure this is going to work. So I say that do it, but do it with knowledge, do it with goals, do it with information. Because if you don't have the facts to back it up, then it won't be successful. You can't just do it because it feels good. You need to be able to do it and also know that you can continue to do it. So it was, for me, it was like, okay, if I'm in charge of my success and I didn't have to do any of this, and I could literally put all of my time and energy into only this, I was 100% confident. Not only could I sustain it, that I could grow it. And then I left. And then a year later, my husband left his job of 11 years and came to work for me. But again, we had goaled it. What do we need?
I got to the point where it was, if he doesn't come home, then I have to hire someone else. And I couldn't hire someone else at that type of money. So he came home, and now we are literally, I'm a woman and minority owned business, family run, because my husband works for me. He's not my partner and he's not an owner. Although we're in this together, he works for me. He gets a paycheck from me, from Breeze Sweet Treats. And my son.
I love this. Let's go.
Yeah. And I feel like potentially my buds may have just gone off. So hopefully there's no problem with the volume.
I think it's sounding pretty decent. I think we should continue.
Okay, wonderful. And my 10-year-old son, he was 6 at the time. He is our chief tasting officer. He is highly involved in the company from top to bottom. He is vested. He's more vested in the philanthropy. He loves the giving part. He loves being able to say who we're giving it, how we're giving, how we're helping. That's really where his heart is.
I love all the stakeholders in your company. It's very wholesome. Your husband, your son. I think it's a very good balance. Just to reiterate, right, like what you mentioned, you did have a plan and you did plan everything out, and it just wasn't everything. Of course, there was some amount of frustration and and anger and sadness to all of this. But again, I think you did plan it out. You did think everything through before making that big leap, and you knew your numbers pretty well, I think.
I did, but I also didn't do it alone. I want to stress that out. Once I got my MBA when I was 25 years old, and I've been a corporate recruiter for 15 years. So I had a lot of information to base this stuff off of. But there is a complete difference between application and theory. So when I realized I was going into my own business, going to run it for myself, I had zero food experience, I started getting all of the resources and information I could, and joining free business accelerators and getting free resources like E4All, Center for Women in Enterprise, Small Business Administration, Women of Color Entrepreneur in Boston, Sam Adams. I'm Sam Adams' family. Actual Sam Adams tap room. I'm in a cookbook because of this relationship that I built with Sam Adams and the free resource and information in class. I mean, it's incredible.
It is. Bree, what is the future of Bree Sweets looking like for you? Like, we've come so far. I'm sure there's so much more to achieve. This is just the starting. What's the vision? What's your vision for Bree Sweet Treats? How do you see it evolving, and what legacy you hope it will leave in the community and beyond?
So the future is bright, and the legacy for Bree Sweet Treats is that it's going to be far beyond candy and chocolate. It's going to be about giving back and community. I think people really think about us being a part of the community in correlation with us making awesome candy. And that is why I exist. That is why my business is here. We have a couple of key phrases. Giving is sweet. Giving is who we are. We have to make 1 million to give 1 million. If I told you all of the things and all of the people that we donate to, you wouldn't believe me. And when I go through all these business accelerators, actually the most common thing I hear is curb your giving. You're going to give you really have to monitor your giving. And I'm like, absolutely not. I will never give myself out of business. I will never give myself into the poorhouse. I will give until the day I die. The goal is that I can get things running and be so awesome that I can really just focus on the philanthropic part and focus on, if I'm going to make all these millions, I'm going to have to give it away, right? So I really want to be able to sit back and just focus on the impact part of it.
Definitely. This is again out of curiosity and also for our audience, right? You you mentioned community a lot and you do so much for the community. Um, I want to understand why and like, was there an instance where the community has come up for you, or that's what makes it so special in your heart? And if you could share some story or some examples of, why does it mean so much to you? And if, is there something happen where you saw your community come for you, right? So I
Yeah.
want you get the backstory.
I mean, the backstory is just literally giving is who I am. I was raised to be a giver. I was raised in a community service aspect. My twin sister and I were shoveling and raking our elderly neighbors' houses. We were doing Meals for Wheels and literally doing the Mexican hat dance for my grandma's friends at the senior homes. It's just who we are. It's who we've always been. It's a deep part of me. So I can't have a business and not bring myself into it. So some of the greatest things that I have seen in return, the community surely has showed up for me. I Last year I got an amazing opportunity through Mass Growth Capital Corporation to participate in a crowdfunding grant. And basically it was a 2-to-1 grant. And it was unheard of and it was excellent. Basically, I had 60 days to raise $20,000. And if I raised $20,000, the grant would then give me $40,000 so that I could get a Bree Sweet Treats cargo van. And let me tell you something. That Bree Sweet Treats cargo van is sitting outside my house. Every time I get into it, I feel so emotional because that was not my money. That was the community. The community came together and came to my events and bought items and this and that and said, Bree, we got you. You've had us. So Bree, we got you. And because of that, my business went in a completely different trajectory. And I cannot, I'm so grateful. I am so humbled. And I will continue to give back and I will always give back. It's who I am. Right now, actually, it's Giving Tuesday. If you look on my Facebook, I'm giving away 6 free VIP tickets to the Mechanics Hall Royal Tea Party to young girls and their families. Just because I want them to feel loved and to have this experience. And I have a free VIP table. And so I want to make sure that my community, who may have otherwise gone without, has an opportunity to participate.
This is so incredible. I think your business is a perfect example of how when you involve community, they show up for you when you need them. And you Bree Sweets is what it is because of the people and because of their support. So I think this is a very wholesome story, and I feel like all the up and rising entrepreneurs need to hear this, especially in a world where like we talk so much about money and profits and like keeping everything. I think your story is very wholesome in highlighting that community, and it's all for the people you know um this was all the okay. So my last question, Brie, for you is there anything else you would like to add to this conversation that we didn't touch, that I didn't ask you? Anything with your heart, anything you'd like to add?
Um, I think that when you own a business, you have a responsibility to give back. And that does not have to be monetarily. Not every business is making profit, right? But you've got time, you've got resources, you've got information. There's just so many different ways that you can choose to give back, even volunteer your time, that it's just what you should do. One of my proudest accomplishments has been in my town of Leicester and Rochdale. I was able this year to get a Leicester Family Fun Food Festival schedule. We did 4 of them. My town came together in this Hallmark. It literally looked like out of a Hallmark movie, with food trucks and crafters and artisans and music and DJs and just families, fire trucks spraying water on the kids, like potato sack races and 3-wheel races. I mean, it was literally right out of a Hallmark. And it was because this town had a meeting and said, what do you envision for Leicester? And I went there and I told them my vision. I said that I have the expertise and the info, so I can do this. I just need the support of the town. And Leicester Cares and Leicester Recreation helped me to do this. So we did 4 of them. They were so amazing. It's going to be a tradition that lasts long after we are gone, and we are already planning next year's.
Definitely. No, I think we need more of those. We need more of those to bring people together. And thank you for doing that work. I'm sure the community, your community, the people really appreciate you and love you for doing this, because you brought so many people together. I wish you lived in my community. I wish you lived in Boston. Well, thank you, Bree, for sharing that. This was a very, very wholesome and very informative, very lovely conversation. I do have another segment prepared for you. This is going to be much of a rapid fire. So you have like literally not even like 10 seconds to think about it, and I want quick answers, okay?
All right.
So this, of course, this is called a rapid fire. And also these are very lighter questions. So are we ready? Whenever you're ready, we're gonna start, okay?
I'm ready.
Okay. Bree Sweet Treats bestseller.
We're home of the famous giant peanut butter cup. They weigh almost 1/4 pound each. They have their own national news segment.
Woohoo! Period. A sweet treat you're most proud of creating.
That I'm most proud of creating? My Brie mix. I love my Brie mix because most people think I like chocolate. They're like, oh, you must love chocolate. I'm like, no, I really don't. I actually just love giving, and this happens to be how I did it. But my favorite candy is caramel. So my Brie mix cup has 1 ounce of caramel and graham cracker. And when I'm really feeling it, I really just twist sea salt all over it. That is something I'm proud of, just because I made it out of my heart for what I like, and it's just super popular.
Oh my God, that really sounds a good combination. Like the salt on top. I've tried like things like that. That sounds really, really yummy. Oh my gosh. Your son Cole's go to treat at the shop. I think this one is going to be, since he's the chef, technically, he's the taste master. Your son Cole's go to treat at the shop.
His go-to treat,
His favorite.
he comes home and says, Mom, I want a peanut butter cup. But he also loves our freeze-dried candy. And our freeze-dried candy was featured on Phantom Gourmet. We're very proud of that.
So what would you say? The peanut butter cup or the Phantom? Both? Or
I mean, we like, he's 10. We've been doing this for 4 years, so I'd say it's interchangeable.
Sure, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Favorite song to play in the shop?
So for me, I love gospel music. And I put on my Christian music, and I give glory and honor to my God. And I know that my candy is blessed too.
Love that. And then all the people who have your candy get blessed.
Amen.
Amen. One thing, and this is the last one thing you always keep stocked in the store that you'll never find it empty. What is it?
The peanut butter cup. It's 60% of all of our sales. We literally have a cult following for it. Have you seen the pictures of it?
I have. I did see that.
I mean, that baby is amazing. And then once you have one, you really just can't eat anyone else's. peanut butter cups. We don't even say the R word because there's no comparison. And I intentionally did that, by the way, because you can't beat your competition by being your competition. So I went exact opposite. I went huge and creamy, and they're small, and they've got that binder in there.
Great. The holiday season is like literally here. So I think this is a very good episode for us and, for you to share a little bit about the organization. I think it's a very good season because who doesn't love a good sweet during the holiday season, right? So I think this
Yeah.
is
And
perfect.
we just actually, for the first time today, it is back. Our peppermint bark will be in stores tomorrow. And that is the one thing. So my dark sea salt almond is my best seller of my barks all year round until peppermint bark comes out.
Perfect. And with that, I would like to, tell us or tell our audience who are listening, where can we try Bree Sweets? Like tell us everywhere, like different spots, wherever that are
All right.
available. Yes.
So you can find Bree Sweet Treats first and foremost at my retail store inside the Worcester Public Market on 160 Green Street. But there is plenty of parking on Harding Street. So come to the Harding Street. There's 2 parking lots and 2 streets to park on. And it's 15-minute free parking in the Harding Street lot. Also, if you're ever at any event at the DCU Center, my second store is in there. We opened our concessions. So if you're at the Railers games or any of the big events there, find our purple cart. We are in a bunch of stores. So we're wholesale licensed. You can find us at any of the gift shops at UMass Memorial Hospital or University Hospital, at Deja New, at Brookfield Orchards, every now and then at Douglas Orchards. And we are online and we are shipping now. And that's new. So come follow us on social media and find us online at Shop Bree's Sweet Treats. So you got to put that shop in there, or you're going to find a lovely girl in New Jersey or New York who's probably really sick of being tagged in all of my posts.
Okay, we will make sure we have that shop in the front before we write Bree Sweet Treats. Yes.
Yeah.
You are. Oh my, this was very detailed. I love the parking details. I think we Boston people or like Mass people, we need the parking. We need the parking very much. So I think this was. Thank you for sharing the parking details too. I think this is very helpful. Bree, this is the end of the episode. I had such a wonderful time talking to you. You are a bundle of joy, of hope and inspiration, and I hope like there are more people like you. And I hope and you already have inspired this generation, and I hope this podcast will inspire young entrepreneurs, women, minority women in business to take that next step and to believe in themselves and to do something good for the community. This is all. And yeah, so if you like this episode, folks, please share it on your socials. And if there's anybody else you'd like to have us on this show, please let us know. Happy holidays and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you again to Marketing HQ for sponsoring this episode of Talking Marketing. Go to marketinghq.io to check out some of their wonderful services, like a resume and cover letter builder, one-on-one career coaching, a free job board, and their free newsletter. That's all at, once again, marketinghq.io. If you enjoyed this episode of Talking Marketing and you want to hear more of our conversations with marketing professionals, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other major podcast platform of choice. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube as AMA Boston. And most importantly, if you'd like to support the work we do here, please consider becoming an AMA Boston member by heading over to amaboston.org/become-a-member. AMABoston.org is also the #1 place to find all of our work, including the AMA Boston blog, events calendar, job board, and a whole suite of ways to volunteer with our team. We get to keep doing this thanks to the support of listeners like you. Thank you.